Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing Dr. Science by Crosscut Games. This is a prototype, all rules and components subject to change. I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. And before we dive into it, this channel is sponsored by Allplay, more about them at the end of the video. Dr. Science is a tableau building trick-taking game, a slightly different twist on trick-taking, in which players are going to be playing into a trick, but also playing into the tableaus, which can then also play into their tricks. You're going to start off with a hand of 11 cards, as well as your person, your little X over here. So for example, in my starting hand, I have all of these cards over here. Now there are going to be numbers 1 through 5, as well as these wild zeros in the deck. For each player, there's going to be one of each type, meaning for example, if I'm playing a 3-player game, as I have set up right here, I have 3 blues that are, three blues. I have 3 4 blues. I have 3 5 blues. Basically, for all numbers 1 through 5 in each color, I have 3 copies of that card, plus these zeros, which is 2 wilds per player, 6 wilds in play. That's the distribution. On your turn, you're going to play a card to lead into the trick. So for example, looking at my hand over here, I kind of want to hold on to these 3s. Those 3s are going to be solid. Wow, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to hold on to those 3s. But that means I also have an extra 3 over here, but that's actually not, I want to hold on to that too. You'll see why later soon. What am I comfortable letting go is the real question. I have 4, 4, 4, I have a 5 and a 3. Oh my gosh, this is brutal. We're going to go ahead and start off. We're going to start off with a, we'll just start off with a 5. We're going to take our blue 5 over here and play that into the trick. Maybe not the best starting move, but I'm not going to overthink this. That means right now the lead color is blue, but the trump color is not yet set, because the way trump works in this game is every player has their color they are bringing to the table. When you play a card of your color, that sets trump, and it cannot be set again for the rest of the round. For example, just to show you how this plays out, again, I'm not going to focus on playing optimally, although before I do that, I need to finish my turn. After you play a card into the trick, you can then play a set of cards between 1 to 4 cards into your tableau. So for example, those 3 3s over there, I'm going to take those 3s and I'm going to create a set over here, placing these into my tableau. You can play sets or runs. A set has to be different colors, a run has to be the same color. A 1, 2, 3 of green, or 4 3s, those would be a set of different colors and a run of the same color. Because I played 4 cards into the tableau, I'm going to go ahead and take this card over here, because I played 4 different cards. That's going to be worth 5 points. I now have 5 points before we get to the end of the round. That's my turn. And the last thing I do is I draw a new card. Looking at my hand over here, because of what I have, I don't know if I care about those. I'll take the yellow 5. It's always good to have some high numbers, although it's not, I don't know. I'll take the yellow 5. We'll place that over here. We'll see what we got. Anyways, that's a turn. You play a card into the trick, you play a card into your tableau. That's optional, you don't have to, and then you draw a new card. You should always have 12 cards between your tableau and your hand. Then we're going to go to their turn over here. They're going to play a card, and I'm going to show you how trump works. They're going to play a card into trump. They're going to play a 3 of red. That creates red as the trump suit. So now that they played a card of their color, red is trump, which means if the blue player plays a blue card, it's too late. Trump cannot be set once it has been set. Effectively, the lead color is the color that is played first. The trump color is the first time that a player played that color into play, which you could do the same thing. If you play blue as your first card as the blue player, you effectively led with the trump suit. That's going to be how that works. Then this player over here is also going to go ahead and set a hand of cards. Do they have anything interesting they can play? They have triple 4s. Let's go ahead and play triple 4s into our tableau. There we go. Those are triple 4s, and they're going to take this card, which is 3 of a kind over there. Well, 3 cards into your tableau, and they get those 4 points. These do become fewer in points as you go through them, dropping all the way down to 2 points over there, so the earlier you can get those, the better. Then again, looking at their hand over here, they might be able to benefit from that 2 yellow, because they can, I mean, even the 2 yellow. They got that because the next turn, they could play a 0, 1, and 2 into their tableau. But that's going to be a future turn. We're going to go ahead and go to blue over here. Blue's going to take a look at their hand. They know that they can beat this. If they can play a 4 or a 5 of red, of which they have, they can take that. And they'll do that, because this starting 5 was not an optimal play. They'll play this 5. It's now the highest card of the trump suit, which means they'll win the trick. They're also going to get the points on those cards. Those little stars are points. The 3s, 4s, and 5s have points on the cards. The 1s and 2s and the 0s do not. They'll take those. They'll tuck them under the card. They're going to get those 3 points at the end of the game. But they also are still playing into the tableau now. That's their turn to do that. Looking at their hand over here, they have multiple 0s. You could actually play a bunch of 0s into your tableau, which is not the craziest. They could play a 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that. We're going to play the 1, 2, 3, 4 of green into my tableau over here and take that card for 4 points. That is round 1. Because they led the trick, they're now going to start the next trick. And this is where it could get interesting, because what they're going to do is they are going to go ahead and play, I guess we could do that. I'm trying to think how I want to play this, but we're going to go ahead and play this 4 into the tableau. Okay, we're going to play that as a starting card. That's the lead card. Then they can now add tricks or add cards to the tableau. This is where it gets a little interesting. I don't have the best hand of what I can do over here, but I guess I'll just go ahead and do what I would do. So I'm going to go ahead and play these 3 zeros into my tableau in order to take this over here. So I'm going to take this, and this is going to go into my declared cards. And then once again, I have to draw up at the end of my turn. I also should have my X in my hand, by the way. I forgot to put that there. But I'm going to draw up, looking at my hand over here. I do want the trump suit, which is helpful. I'll take the 4. I'll take the 4. We'll see what happens to it. That's going to go into my hand. A new card comes out. Goes to the next player over here. Maybe I'll play for my tableau. In fact, I will, because I know that I have this 3 that I can play if I really want to. So let's go ahead and play. Right now, when you haven't done trump yet, so maybe we'll break into trump. No, if I make this trump, then he wins. That doesn't help me at all. So I'll just play this yellow 3, knowing that I can replace it later. I'll explain how it works. I won't be winning, but I'll play that. And now for my hand over here, I might, let's see, I can do a 3, 4, 5 over here. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to play a 3, 4, 5, or a 2, 3, 4. It doesn't really matter. I'm using my X over here to play into my tableau. But then I'm also going to add a card to other sets in my tableau. You can add different cards to different sets. The main thing is it has to be legal when you're done, and legal is defined as at least 3 cards. You cannot have a set of 2 cards. You cannot have a run of 2 cards. It must be at least 3 cards. So by playing that 3, I opened up the door from that last 3 to be able to add it, which is going to allow me to take this one over here, which is going to give me those points. Then at the end, I'll go ahead and draw a card, and maybe I'll draw this 4 over here. Again, it's good to have those higher values. We'll see how it plays out. Anyways, that brings us to this last player. We'll do this last round, and then we'll go into my review. The last player, again, they have their X over here, which I didn't really have in their hand, and they could play into the tableau, keeping in mind there's no trump suit yet. So if they play any red card, then they can play a trump. So they'll play their 4 over here, because by playing their 4, they've now declared trump, because that's the first time trump has been played into a color. They'll win that trick with the associated points, and now they might want to play into the tableau, and they could do that with this card over here. So they'll go ahead and place this X into there as a 4. Their own colors are very variable, flexible. They'll play this 0, 1, 2, which means they also played 4 cards. They'll take this. That's the fastest I've seen those disappear, by the way, but that can happen. That's basically the way that plays out. So, as a quick recap, on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to play a card. You can play from your tableau that you've already played. You can play from your hand. Then you'll play cards from your hand into your tableau, getting points for doing so, as well as creating those little runs over there. And then lastly, you'll draw a card to make sure you go back up to 12 cards. When the deck runs out, you'll eventually go to endgame, add up the points in your tableau, meaning anything that was stuck in your tableau that has a point number on it is worth that little point star. You're going to get the points from your declarations over here, as well as the points of the various tricks you've won for those cards that are worth points. So again, the 3s, 4s, and 5s, and the X's as well. Those X's of each player, those are going to be worth points as well. Add that all up, and that's going to be your score in Dr. Science. Which means it's time for my review of what I like, don't like, conceal as not liking, all of that. Starting off with, this game does something different that I haven't seen trick takers do. This idea that you're making these declarations into your tableau, you're publishing a theorem into your tableau to give you points. So trying to create sets and runs in your hand is almost like this weird aspect of a shedding game and a trick-taking game together in one, except you're not really shedding cards to beat other hands, rather you're shedding cards into your tableau, almost Rummy style, to be able to then play them later and then reconfigure your hand. So if you enjoy games like Rummy, it kind of has that aspect while feeding into a trick-taking game. So it's a different spin on trick-taking than what I've seen before. And it feels rewarding to constantly invest into your tableau, as well as building flexible tableaus. You want to look at your hand and you want to draw cards that allow you to play from your tableau while being able to add back into your tableau. You can play from your hand, you can do so, but since you almost get more points from being able to add cards from your hand to your tableau, it's often more efficient to put things into your tableau, play from there, so you can refill and add as needed and get those extra publishing points throughout the game, because you get points from winning tricks, but you get points from publishing, and you almost have more control over there. So building out fluid tableaus and playing accordingly into a trick, and then juggling when you need to win a trick versus when you need to have a tableau you can play into, that's an interesting concept as far as how trick-taking games work and the multiple things you're trying to do. Additionally, seeing other players and what's in their tableau adds to that strategy as well, because if you have that logic, if you know that it's better to play from your tableau, knowing what other players have in their tableau is another part of the game. So looking at other players and saying, oh, well, I see you have those cards, you're likely going to try to play from your tableau as well, therefore if I play this, there's a slightly higher chance chance that I win the trick because of the fact that you are incentivized to play from your visible cards. So, and then again, sometimes they won't because sometimes it's worth winning the trick. So you're not just playing your own game, you really are playing the others as well, trying to keep in mind what they're doing and how that's going to factor into their strategy, and therefore what you can risk as you play through it. So it's an interesting combination of thought processes I'm not used to seeing in trick-taking games. As far as what I don't like in the game, first of all, there's definitely some small luck of the draw, more so in the beginning of the game. In the very beginning of the game, the ability to play four cards as your first trick literally just gives you an extra point for just having 4 cards that do work for a set or a run as you play it, versus someone else who might only have 3. As the game goes on, there's more control, but those early game points are certainly present, and so it certainly can feel less fun if I'm like, my first turn, I'll play 3, get the points, you play 4, and you get more points just for having that extra luck of the draw aspect. That's true also as you draw cards as well into your hand. You're going to have the way they feed into it, so a small luck of the draw element. Additionally, you could get stuck expanding your tableau. As you play this game, sometimes you will play cards from your tableau into the center, or the way you built out your tableau and whether you're able to refill those hands. You cannot always play into your tableau, and one thing I didn't really heavily focus on is the fact that you can never play into your tableau if your tableau will not be legal at the end of that play. And so playing cards from your tableau is how you build up that engine, but then getting stuck can be a frustrating experience when that does happen in the game. As far as final thoughts on Dr. Science, this is an interesting trick-taking game that certainly does something new that I haven't seen before. I've overall enjoyed my plays of it, while also, and this is the caveat, I haven't felt wowed by it. In general, I find trick-taking is always that aspect of what gimmick did you add to the genre, and does that gimmick resonate enough with me that I enjoyed it, or that I loved it, or in some cases didn't like it at all. And Dr. Science for me is one that I've enjoyed. I do like the puzzle of trying to balance it all out, but I do find that I haven't felt that emotion might be the wrong word, I haven't felt that hook that makes me think, wow, oh my gosh, this is so clever, this is so interesting. It is clever, and it is interesting, which is why I struggle with this one, because I see what's happening here, and I do enjoy it, and it is strategically sound. But just on a personal note, I just haven't felt that wow factor as I play it. So overall, I'm going to come in at a 3.5 out of 5. I've enjoyed my plays of it. I think this is a good trick-taking game. If you are one of those people who like trying new things in trick-taking, this definitely has that, and I think you'll enjoy the puzzle of balancing all of it. But for me personally, all that is true, but I haven't felt that wow factor as I have of some of my favorite trick-taking games. So overall, 3.5 out of 5. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Cat in the Box for one of my favorite twist factors in a trick-taking game. I will never stop talking about it. I think it is so clever and so interesting. And then also check out Rummy. I mentioned Rummy earlier. If you like the idea of setting cards, you can either play Rummy with tiles or even just a card game Rummy. And there's variations, there's Rummy, there's Gin Rummy. But if you like that kind of set building in order to be able to reconfigure and constantly adjust and build out your sets, but you want to see it done with more than just 12 cards in play, then check out Rummy to have that experience. Additionally, I mentioned that AllPlay is a channel sponsor at the beginning of this video. If you go to allplay.com, you can check out a variety of games from a variety of publishers, and you also can combine those for $4 flat rate shipping in the US. But check out Ghosts of Christmas, one of my favorite trick-taking games that really, one of the first trick-taking games that pulled me into trick-taking when I was someone who didn't actually like trick-taking as a genre way back when. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this review helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.